55th annual Head of the Charles Regatta. It is so awesome to have you here, and you guys are very, very special guests. I've been really excited to talk to you guys all week. We have the Arctic Challenge here. We are very excited to hear about what their project is and what they're all about. Each of you have a very special role, I think, in this project, and I'm dying to hear what this is and who you are, because I know we've heard a lot of rumors about what this might be and what is coming in 2025, but I'm hoping we can dive into that just a little bit more. So if you don't mind, please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your role in this project and maybe what the project is.
Of course, thanks for having us. It's an absolute honor to be here, kind of in a different sport. And you know, I had no idea what the Head of the Charles was about until I got here, but it's certainly special. For the project, well, first, my name is Jimmy Graham. I played in the NFL for 13 years and now on this new venture with the team. I'm the lead navigator. I've spent most of my life flying. You know, I have like 10 pilot's license, and I also live on a sailboat most of the time. So that's kind of my role for this challenge, and you know, just excited to be a part of the team and you know, do something amazing.
Thanks, Jimmy. Andrew Trope. I'm based down in Houston, and I retired last October, a year ago, after spending nearly 23 years in the Navy as a SEAL. I'm the captain of the team, and the Arctic Challenge will launch next July 2025 timeframe to take on roughly 600 nautical mile challenge from Tromsø, Norway to Svalbard.
Well, I'm Hannah Huppy, and I'm the project manager, aka Team Mom. So I'm kind of filling in the gaps and helping get this thing to the start line. Yeah.
Hey, Whitney. I'm John Huppy. Hannah and I were on the U.S. Coastal team, and my role on the team is really the bosun, so dealing with all the equipment, purchasing, setup, testing, and making sure everything works during the adventure.
Yeah, that's really neat. Well, you guys have such unique skills, which brings such value to the team in very different ways. And I know you've talked a lot about coastal rowing, teamwork, you know, being with the SEALs, obviously being a football player, you play with teams, you have a supervisor, obviously a team mom, every team needs one. I totally know how that is as a coxswain myself, being out on the water. Everyone needs to keep everybody in line. So totally understand how that is. But what do you guys actually trying to accomplish here? What is the Arctic Challenge? Because you guys are working with a few different charities, a few different foundations, but tell us a little bit about what that is, who these foundations are, and what you're actually trying to accomplish. Why are you doing an Arctic Challenge?
You want to talk about Covenant House?
Yeah. You know, obviously, this is a lot of it is we're also chasing world records. You know, I think obviously trying to be the fastest team to ever do it, fastest four. They're going to be the first couple, and she will be the first woman. So, and we will be the first U.S. team. So, you know, those are very exciting things to be a part of. But also, what makes this special is the fact that we're going to be providing a lot of opportunities for kids in the New Orleans area. One of them being Covenant House. You know, Covenant House is a place that houses homeless children between the ages of 16 and 22 and transitions them into adulthood. So everything that we're doing, starting in January, we're going to do a big raise. And the idea is a million meters and hopefully raising $1 million+ to support these various charities that we're involved with. And that's really what's special for me, is the opportunity for us to go into the Covenant House, to go into these other various charities and first speak and talk about, you know, not only the challenge that this is going to be, but the fact that we're doing it for them. And that's what's made this special for myself, is the opportunity to go into the Covenant House and share my story, and really try and inspire and encourage kids to do the same, you know, to take on new challenges, and to try the impossible. So.
Thank you.
You know for you there.
I know. Thanks for teeing that up. For me personally, I think it's going to be an incredible experience. And we have the power to use our collective abilities to actually benefit, have a tangible, organic benefit for charities in New Orleans. So with Laureate Sport for Good, we'll be able to unlock sport and give access to sport to typically non-traditional demographics. So sports fields, different sports is a big one. Rowing is a huge one. I grew up in the Philadelphia area, and rowing was a thing, just not for me. But I came to Boston, walked onto the Boston University team, and it's been a part of my life since I was 18 years old. So in and out of the sport. And I think the Arctic Challenge is it's a culmination of an insane experience rowing across the Arctic Ocean. Not something many people think of doing. The genesis of the event was Jimmy and I've been trying to convince him for maybe 8 years now to do something similar. And I was graduating from Cambridge. We had a few pints in us, and I sold him the plan, and he happily agreed. And while he was getting taped up for a game, Hannah DM'd him on Instagram and said, "Hey, I heard you're speaking about sailing around the world or across an ocean. Have you ever thought of rowing one?" And he screenshotted the DM, sent it to me, and I said, "Tell her we're a package deal. Take it or leave it," because I assumed she had a team together and wanted some more horsepower. And it all came together. So I think this is going to be an incredible journey.
Yes. So for me, excuse me, a big part of this is also, obviously, we're a mixed gendered team. So I think a exciting thing is we're kind of showing not just rowing, but like little kids and women and men and moms, just that there's a lot of opportunity out there, even if you don't think that this is something you might have in the cards. Maybe it is. And yeah, you can go after your wildest dreams. So
yeah, actually, I'd like to touch on that just briefly, because one thing that makes you guys, I think, really unique is your incredibly different backgrounds, which makes this really, really cool. And I think it does kind of set an example for other people that is, you can be a mom, you can be an athlete in a different sport, you can be, a working 9-to-5 person and still do something incredible. But what you guys all have in common, or seem to, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you are comfortable being uncomfortable, and you're saying yes to something that's much bigger than yourself, and it's for somebody else. It's to lead by example, and it's to do something for other people, for these foundations, also for yourselves, for fun, but to do something bigger together, which I think is going to be really amazing. So I think it's incredible that you can be parents and, cyclists and football players and Navy SEALs and come together for this greater good, which is really, really special, I think.
Yeah, and I think once we're out there and we're like in the actual worst of it, going back and thinking about why we're doing this in the bigger picture and how many people it's inspiring, even like when we're dealing with that adversity and able to come together as a team with our different backgrounds, being able to get through it, those stories will really be important. That will help get us through those hard times, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So what about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think, all been trailblazers in different ways. I think one of the most incredible things that Hannah and I got a chance to do was really just start the rowing community back up in New Orleans 10 years ago. We were staring at 6 adults who wanted to row, and that was it. And there was a college team in the city. And that got spun up. We had a dream. We dreamed big to create a youth program in the city. And now we have probably over 250 athletes in the city. So kind of going back to the charity stuff, having Laureates, they've been with us almost since that day one to help inspire athletes, not just for rowing, but, I'm very passionate about all water sports. So we hope that this story continues to inspire people to get on the water, whether it's sailing or rowing or fishing or just getting in a kayak and not being scared of the experience. So it's really important to us, and hopefully we continue even beyond this, just more trailblazing in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I think that you guys are doing that's so cool, that's very timely right now too, is that rowing is oftentimes considered a sport that has a very high barrier to entry for a lot of people. It's very difficult for people to get involved. They don't have a lot of resources, money, boats. You need a lot of stuff to row, to sail, to get involved. So do these foundations have any part in kind of breaking down some of those barriers and getting kids that wouldn't normally get to go row or sail involved in these sports?
Yeah, the biggest thing in New Orleans that has to be overcome is simply just transportation. That and safety around water. There's so many kids in the city who don't even know how to swim, which is shocking and terrifying, given that New Orleans is literally surrounded by water. We have a lake. We're below sea level. I mean, goodness. So we're trying to address that. And more than anything, I mean, we're not going to be out there teaching every single kid how to swim, but like, getting other community leaders, especially. That's why Laureus comes into play, because they're really an aggregator of sports leaders, and getting them inspired to, hey, we really are doing the important work, and it's going to have massive impact for thousands of kids in the future.
That's really amazing. And so where is this going? Like, where are you guys at right now with these foundations, and where are you trying to take them as you progress through your journey to actually getting to 2025 when you do the Arctic Row yourself? Is there a big event at the end? Is there money that's being raised? Is there, what's happening?
Yeah, so right now we've been, sourcing our stickers and our sponsors, and so basically starting in January is when we're going to start this money raise, which is $1 million, $1 a meter, which is going to be $1 million plus, and that's when that money will be routed to these various charities for opportunities and better opportunities for these teens. And when it comes to that, it's like passionate for me because I grew up in those communities, and I grew up in many of those situations where, I never even knew rowing was available. I didn't know, even though that was a thing. I mean, I played the sports that was available to me, which were, baseball, basketball, and football. I really didn't even get my opportunity of football until I went to college. So, and it just shows that, when kids are given an opportunity to do something, you can be as lucky as me and, be able to play 13 years in the NFL. And that was just all from one opportunity. So, that's the overall big goal here is seeing how much we can raise so that we can provide these various opportunities in New Orleans. Because New Orleans is special to all of us. For me, obviously being drafted there 15-ish years ago, and being able to become a man in that city, it's exciting to be able to give back in that way and be able to provide these opportunities.
That's actually really interesting you say that. You said that you were given these opportunities, but in a way you also created them. Yeah. So are you teaching these kids or teens to create their own opportunities? Are you sort of opening doors for them to kind of find their own opportunities and create them in that way? Yeah. Or are you saying, here's a boat, come row here? How are you giving them opportunities, or are you teaching them how to create them? Is maybe what I'm asking.
I'll speak on mine, and I know that they're doing a lot because they also own a rowing gym in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. But for myself, where it's special was for me was the ability to go to Covenant House and be able to speak to these kids. And because I had a raw experience, I was actually in a very similar situation, a very similar, where I was dropped off at a facility when I was 11. So, I'm the one person who can sit there and tell them, how to rise out of it. And one of the bigger things is really to have that yes mentality that we just talked about, where, any opportunity you have, never be scared to attack it. Never be scared to try something new. I've been blessed with opportunities to try various new things, and all those things has shaped me, has changed my life, made me a better man, better person. So I always try to encourage the kids to, always try something new. If it's not, I took a year off and started cycling, changed my life. And now, into retirement, I'll be with this crew rowing across the Arctic Ocean. So all these things has been so beneficial to me, teaching me a lot about myself, teaching me many things through the fire, and I think that's something that everyone's scared to try something new because they're scared to be embarrassed. They're scared to not be good at something. But those are the moments that's special because you're able to, work on yourself. You're able to grow out of that struggle. So, for me, that's been one of the most important things about this entire ordeal. So I'll let them talk about the rowing.
So I guess it's a little bit of both to answer your question. Like, to even be able to know that there is an opportunity out there, like that's kind of, I think, the biggest impact that we can make. And then also helping fund getting rid of the barriers that would prevent or make it harder for kids to get into sports like rowing or sailing or water sports, anything really. It's funny because like just the smallest little experiences can really impact the way that someone thinks about what their opportunities are. I got a message from one of the juniors we coached like 10 years ago, his mom. And I guess his little sister, I don't even really remember her, but I told her that like one day you're going to be such a good rower. Like you look like a rower. You're going to be awesome. I like believe in you. Apparently it made a difference. And she just like got a D1 scholarship to go row in college. And like, I was like, wow, I didn't realize like just such a small little thing can actually, you know, change someone. All you need is that little tiny moment of empowerment. So I think that's a big piece of what we're doing here is just like opening the eyes of what you can do. Yeah.
And I think a lot of our story has also been about expanding connections across the rowing community, which has been siloed in a lot of ways and also just growing and very new. The fact that we've been flatwater rowers, we were trailblazers on coastal rowing, which is now an Olympic sport. Also owning our indoor rowing studio and that entire community, who a lot of those people will never be on the water, but are very much a part of the community too. And then adults, youth, college. So we've just been trying to hit on all the cylinders of the sport and trying to forge all those connections. And it is so incredibly special to see that happening in New Orleans. And we hope that that inspires a lot of other cities too, to kind of follow in and have all those things and not try to silo them apart from each other.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and I've definitely seen it. Obviously, in coastal rowing, I know you guys very well from coastal, and I've seen the community that you built, and everybody knows you in the community. And it's not just about knowing who you are, but it is about making that impact and being involved and like getting. You're very hands-on in the community, and I think that's really important. And you guys are really setting a great example for that. So, Andrew, what about you? You think?
So I think it's a two-way street, right? So with our adventure, we're showing what's in the realm of possible. None of us are, it's not like a weekend warrior thing to do is like, let's just row across the Arctic. It's a lot of serious.
Just decide to row across the Arctic over there.
I mean, the idea was, but
over a few points, few pints.
the seriousness behind the expedition, but it just took that spark and that connection and the quickly formed relationships. And I know specific to rowing, the rowing community, it's very welcoming, it's very open. It's if a kid knows that there's an opportunity, they don't need to buy the boat, they don't need to buy the oar, they just need to show up. And I've been in a great situation where, based on relationships, because I've been willing to put myself out there, I showed up at the BU Boathouse again, and Coach Bohr was more than, hey, the place is yours, do what you need. So they've been a fantastic support system to me and the team, specifically here at the Head of Charles. They've hosted us, provided us a boat. So a lot of those relationships and showing kids what's in the realm of possible, it just puts yourself out there and it will be reciprocated.
I could not agree more. I'm so excited that you're going to be part of the rowing community, because it really is, I want to say a brotherhood, but obviously with, you know, our sisters everywhere too. But anywhere you go in the world, people will welcome you in, even though they have no idea who you are. If they know you rowed, I've been in pubs in the middle of nowhere, Europe, and if they find out that you row, you're part of the family, and they will bring you in. They'll, you know, whatever you need. They're like, do you want to row? Do you want to eat? Do you want to stay with us? Do you want? So it's a very, very special community. So I'm really excited, just personally, if I may say so myself, that you are doing this through rowing. And obviously this is something that we all have in common. And I'm really hoping that you just have the time of your life doing this. It's so exciting, because you each do really bring something special to the table. And I think it's such a special project that you guys are doing. And I could talk to you about this for weeks, forever, because it's, I have so many questions. But where can we find you? What are we trying to do next? Like, what are the next steps here? So obviously you're racing here at the Charles. I want to touch on that before we sign off. But what's next for the project?
So we just 2 weeks ago, we finished up our ocean rowing proper training camp down on Lake Pontchartrain. Excuse me, with our ocean rowing coach, Duncan Roy. Fantastic instruction, fantastic training, and a really great sense of humor. So that helped.
But you have to have a sense of humor if you're doing something like this, right?
Lighten the mood a bit. But Duncan brought in a key aspect that this isn't just pulling on an erg and making it from point A to point B. There's a huge component of seamanship to it. Understanding kind of how to individually cox the boat, of what makes the team go, what makes the boat go. And it's not just put it on bearing and pull hard. We're dealing with the ocean. So we'll continue to do those camps in December, January, February, all the way up until the time we ship our boat over to Norway. And then we've got some other adventures along the way.
Yeah, it's obviously there's many check marks to be made for this because of the seriousness of it. Obviously being up there in those waters, understanding just the basic things as changeovers was very interesting, because when everybody looks at the boat, it looks big, but when you're on it, it's not big at all.
Especially rowers. Everyone's like, that's a huge boat. If you're you're like, not a rower, you're like, that's a small
4 rower-sized people on there. Yeah. Rowers are not average-sized people, so.
And so that's been very interesting, is just practicing that, and really the more practice we can get, the better. We have 2 sea trials kind of ahead of us, where we're probably going to be in the Gulf, and then the boat will come down to Miami, and we'll get some different waters there. But we do have a lot of check marks to tick off before this boat ends up leaving, and a lot of them, like Andrew said, it's not about just pulling on the oars. A lot of it is navigation. A lot of it is understanding our nutritional intake, understanding how to stay hydrated, how to stay warm, how to stay dry. We've had so many Zooms with various people who have been up there. So one of my biggest concerns was when they were talking about the cabin, because I guess it's so cold outside that it just creates all kinds of humidity inside. And they said that they were sleeping in 2 feet of water for like weeks. So, it's various things like this that just keep popping up that we have to find a remedy for. And then when the boat gets down to Miami, myself and a couple of my mechanics are going to figure out to add some stuff, add batteries, add more, add a camera system. So there's just all these little check marks to do. And so it's going to be a pretty busy nine-ish months for all of us, honestly.
8.
Yeah, 8.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the next immediate things we have to do is do the Director's Challenge Mixed 8 this afternoon. So we have some rowing to do today, which is an important part, I think, of just gelling as a team. We've pulled in a few of our friends to help us pull down the course, who all have connections to New Orleans and the project and Louisiana. So should be a really fun time this afternoon.
I'm really excited to see you guys race, for sure. Now, this is your first actual race, right? And your first time sweeping? Second time sweeping.
He's got a 45-minute session.
He practiced one practice.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
So, obviously we're all living in different cities, and we're all very busy. You've got parents, and then I'm just the idiot running around all over the place. And so we came out here, and Friday was the first time I'd ever seen a boat that big, an 8 sweeper, and then obviously the first time I ever sweep. So I've got 45 minutes under my belt, and we'll go out there today at 4, and I'll just follow their lead and hold on. So.
Yeah, I think that's all you can do. That's all you can do, right? Well, you have some very good experience here in the boats. I know some phenomenal athletes that I have raced with myself, so I'm really excited to see what you guys do. You certainly picked an amazing weekend to come out. Like we said, we've had the best weather here at the Charles, and we've had in a really long time. Water is flat, so I think it'll be a great day for your first race. It'll be phenomenal. So Okay, so when is your race? When can we watch you guys? I could talk to you guys for months about this project. I'm so excited to hear where it's going, and we'll make sure to plug where we can find you. But first, where can we watch your race today?
So we're in the Director's Challenge Mixed 8, which is at 4 o'clock today. We're launching from BU Boathouse, so we're bow number 11. So, yeah.
On number 11. Okay, perfect. And where can we follow you guys with the project, and where can we find you? Plug all your stuff.
So our website is the Arctic Challenge 2025.com. And same with our Instagram. All that's, you can subscribe to our newsletter. We'll have tracking when we're actually up on the Arctic. And then, like Jimmy said, we'll be starting our Million Meters campaign early next year. And you can donate $1 and be part of the team, help us push through and get to the Arctic. The top of the world. I don't know.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. That's absolutely perfect. And who can get involved? Like, how does somebody get involved, or what do we do? Can anybody just go to the website and donate $1, or? Yeah,
you can go to the website, donate $1, or hit any of us up if you want to get involved in volunteering or helping out or sponsoring. We're here to create a community around it. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so excited to watch your race. Again, I could talk to all of you for ages about your training, your nutrition, all the survival training that you have to do. Definitely go check them out on Instagram and your website, because you're doing so much more than what we even got to talk about today. There's so much going on. So we'll try to keep up with you guys. But again, thank you and have a phenomenal race.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.